Hello, this is Scott Cordell, and this video is for CSC210 Database Design. Okay, so this week, during week 7, we're looking at how to query single tables at a time in MySQL. The homework is posted as usual under Lessons, Week 7. There's an Assignments section, and then under that is Homework 5, which might be a little scary that it's 116 points, but basically I give you 2 points for each question. One to see if you give me something, and then you get that second point if it actually runs and works correctly. So you can still give me something that doesn't work at all, and I can still give you some partial credit. So don't be discouraged with the 116 points. I'm just trying to do all that I can to give you at least some credit for trying something, and maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but at least you aren't completely shot down by it. So if you'll take a look, what I'm asking you to do is create a file. Here's a screenshot of me in Notepad right here to where I'm trying to kind of show you how to get things started. So I've got my name, exercises at the top, changing to the database that I want to get to, and then here's where we're going to pick up on this exercise right here. Alright, so in Notepad, what I've got here is that same exact file. On the first question, for Premier Products on page 132, it stated that they wanted us to list the part number, description, and price for all parts. And you can see from the statement there that that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Now, what I would do is you're going through and creating all of these. I'm a big believer in you shouldn't code everything and then all of a sudden test it one time and believe that it just works. Code a little bit at a time, and as it's working, check it. And as you're going through and creating all of it, check one at a time, and always make sure you aren't destroying something by mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and take just this part here, run it over through PuTTY, and just see what I come up with. And since it's been a couple of weeks, I do want to remind you at this point, remember when you're typing in your username, it's always uppercase, every single time. However, your password is case sensitive, so whatever you gave it to me as. So I'm now inside the Linux server, and to get to MySQL, I need to type in MySQL-U, supply the username again, and then -P is to tell it that I'm going to supply a password. I'll press enter there and type in the same password. Should get me to where it's telling me that you're now in MySQL. The easiest way to tell is you now see at the prompt it's MySQL instead of having anything to do with your name or your username. One thing I like to do every time just to make sure I'm really in the right way is type a simple show databases command. And I can see that all of these are for the student account that I use for this course. And then what I'm going to do is just start using stuff out of MySQL here. I want to start using these commands. So I'm going to go ahead and change to the database. Actually, I need to change that. There we go. So I'm going to use this statement. And what I want to do is actually go over here and I can right click and copy after I've selected it. And then if I just simply right click inside of PuTTY, it will paste it. Now it doesn't run it, but now I can press enter. It tells me it changed the database. Just to make sure I'm in the right place again, I always like to do a show tables. It shows me all the tables that are part of this database, so I know exactly which tables I can or can't touch from here. I'm going to go ahead and try number 1. Again, just copy this, come back to PuTTY, and just right click to paste and press enter. Now if you want to verify this information, you can go back to chapter 1 where they have the tables for all of this information, and figure 1-2 I believe is the one for this one. Henry Books is like figure 1-4, and then I believe that Alex Zamora back in chapter 1 is something like 1-7 or 1-8. So you can actually go back and look at the data. Alright, that one wasn't too bad. Now I want to go ahead and look at the next one. Notice that I put this in comments. All the line numbers are commented. That way they don't attempt to run, in case you want to run this all as one big file. So the next one states that we need to list all rows and columns for the complete orders table and everything. In other words, show me everything from orders. Now here, if you'll notice, I'm typing the word select in lowercase. That is a reserved word in SQL, and I can tell that because it's blue, but then a lot of folks have said, how do I make these things change colors? If I'm using Notepad Plus and it is not showing me the right colors, how do I make it work? One easy way is to go up to your language toolbar, come down to the S section, and just click on SQL, and that will set the language for whatever you're in SQL. The other way is to actually save the file. Just do a file, and when you go in and save as, make sure you change to SQL here, Structured Query Language File. When you do that, it saves it with the SQL extension up here, and that will also in turn tell it to do this color coding. One thing you do need to notice is right here, select is uppercase in the first one, lowercase here. SQL is not case sensitive. It doesn't care if I actually type it something like this. It'll still take it, just with mixed case all over the place. Spelling matters, case sensitivity doesn't. But here's the other thing. These other words I need to use, first of all I need to do all. I'll do from here. For this table that I need, orders does need to be in uppercase because whoever created these tables way back in the beginning named that table uppercase. Same thing happens with your columns or your field names. They must be uppercase and spelled exactly as they are in the table, and case does matter there. For all the blue words, case doesn't matter. Anything else, it usually matters quite a bit. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Copy this out. Run over here and just right click and run it. And there's my data. Now, one other thing you can do in the end, just to see if this really works completely, I could select all of this. In fact, all the way up to here, because the comments will not run. They are comments only. And I can run this whole thing all at once. Just right click in there, and what it has just done, it did the first thing, told me it changed. It entered that one because it was not the last thing. Here's number 2. It let me put in the comment and the whole thing, and then ran and gave me data. Told me there's 10 rows in the set. It took less than a hundredth of a second to run. And then here's number 2 waiting for me to run. And there it is. Alright, so hopefully that'll help you get started this week. One thing I do want to mention is toward the end, once you're finished with, say, number 21 is the last one here, then when you get ready to change databases, I suggest you come in here and just type in your comment to change to the Henry database. And if you want to put in the full name of your name _ Henry, just to remind you, you can do that, but just somewhere put in a comment, and then remember to go back to renumbering because it starts over on page 133 with number 1 again, and you'll start a brand new list, the book code and book title of each book. You'll type that command in, and again, check them as you go. In the end, what you're going to have is one very long piece of code here, one big long script with a whole bunch of stuff in it, but please remember, don't put any of your answers here. All I want to see is just the code. I should be able to come over here and pull up your code, run it, and see that it produces all kinds of great answers for me, but no errors. So it'll give me the answers, but you don't have to put them in here. As usual, if you have any questions, please submit them on the Ask the Instructor board. If you're really stuck somewhere, you can try and also send me an email. Sometimes I'm closer to that than I am Angel, but just make sure if you do that, I may respond to you and say, go look at the discussion board, because I try to answer questions there in case the same students or several students are having the same questions. All right, so have a good week, and let me know if you have any trouble. Thanks.